All right. What I'm going to do today is just kind of do a quick 10-minute demo of what you can do with this app, just how quick easy it is to do a basic setup and kind of get a simulation rolling. And then full features maybe more like an hour, but I think just off the crack of the bat should give you some ideas. What I'm going to do today is kind of test myself with a speed run of an event that's kind of dear to me. My buddy created it. It's Ironman 70.3 in Michigan. And all I've done to start this off is I've downloaded the maps just to make sure I have something to work with. And that's basically it. Just want to be able to show everything that we can do here. Just doing a basic setup. I can configure half Ironman somewhat easily. These have defaults that are preset with, I believe, a 30-second to a 10-minute transition, just for the purposes of giving a demo. We'll go ahead and put these recommended fields in. When we get to import the maps, they're going to be a little different, obviously, but should give you kind of an idea what we're working with. We got three views that I use for this. And the first is obviously just an admin view. It's a lot of settings, planning, some live views. And there's also a Marshall that's basic info, kind of for manual timing, cutoff information that needs to go to your aid stations. And then in between, I've got a roamer mode, which is kind of your staff out on course. You can just see a few different kind of settings I'm playing with here. And it'll let them track, submit records, identify issues, kind of keep an eye on everything that's going on. It's also kind of a mobile admin setup. So the basics here, what I'm doing right now, I'm setting up. We have the same kind of configuration for any sort of event, and that's our basic details, basic stuff you'd see in timing software, common information. I don't have the exact time that this last swimmer in the water is going to be, so I'll just say it's this. I've got some cute little things like customized branding that you can use, and then we have just a basic. You can see set up your segments, your races, the amount of time checkpoints, just like timing checkpoints you have in each. I'm gonna go ahead and upload the swim courses. You can see pre-programmed paces that are going to be useful for sample data. And this is all preset. There's a lot of customizability with this, but I have just kind of a preset for quick setup that can be used. Automatically generates a lot of the stuff we need, but you have the ability to add more timing points, more locations, aid stations, whatever you want to do with it. I'm just kind of, again, I could have pre-programmed this, but I'm just playing with the clock to see how fast we can do this. And I'll be honest, the goal of this is to be able to simulate data or download real data pre-race and post-race. But really, the infrastructure that I think is going to be super amazing is during the race. And that's something that is in progress, more developed in some areas than others. But in short, it's easy to decide how to demonstrate, interpolate it, whatever, project data when you have all that data. It's a little more contentious to decide how to do it when you don't have all that data, when there's missing timing points, or when somebody DNFs and you don't actually know the pace they want. So I'm playing around with a lot of that. But anyway, I'm just doing a basic configuration. It's taken me we're at 4 minutes so far. And then I'm going to go ahead, and some of this is timing software at its basics. You can do anything you can do in Reg, adding participants. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to simulate 500 participants in this race. It can handle 1,000 or 2,000, but everything will go a little bit slower. So I'm cheating a little bit for the purposes of a demo. I have kind of different little quirks to demonstrate a speed curve, so to speak, random generators and such. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take out DNFs. I have one little bug, like I mentioned, with handling DNFs that'll make this look a little funky, but we will allow having chip time start and progressive fatigue, just a little thing to play with to make people on the whole sometimes go a little faster, but generally go a little slower as the race goes on. Got a little fun little stuff in here. But that's the basics. Everything I'm doing right now is really kind of just manual timing software or logging software. While it generates, which will take a few more seconds because of the database, I have the ability to input basically a little phone keypad or a desktop keypad, where's timing records, DNFs, issues. I have different modes for lead vehicle rabbits or tail vehicle turtles to check in where they're at. Do a whole bunch of, well, we'll see it in a second when this finishes generating different timelines, maps, sorts of things. Generate a good number of timing records. Yeah, the bottleneck right now with this app is really it's the database. I have a kind of a basic database plan that only lets me write so many records at a time. And so that slows things down. But you can see I've generated timing records. I basically have timing software here. Nothing too fancy. It can act as manual timing. It can, we've got a basic sort of app that, as I said, can check in where you're at bike finish, you want to check in rabbit, turtle timing. This all plugs into the timing data. It all plugs into a log that your race director can read from commands. So actually, if I go ahead and were to submit rabbit log, that's going to cue like a little timing pad. It's going to show up in my comms log on my dashboard. And there you go, it's right there on my map. So now that I've generated timing, I've basically got timing software. And I need to remember to save my settings so you can see my custom branding. The next thing that I'm going to go into, and this is the one other part I don't have automated, is it's called snapshots. And it lets you kind of create a piece in time, a timestamp every X minutes that we can use to basically to rank rabbits and turtles, to kind of interpolate between existing data points. I'm just having a little bug getting there we go. I was going too fast. I've got to also just work out some quirks with moving too fast in the app. A cute little thing, custom branding, extracts your colors and uses them for your theme. But I won't play too much with that. So the one thing in this, again, this is computationally heavy because it uses the database is snapshots. And so I've got one little thing that I just have to do manually for now. And obviously that's not going to be good for live operations, but I'm going to generate snapshots, and this is going to let me unlock all the other cool features. I'm watching at 8 minutes and counting pretty much here. I promised I would keep the main body at 10, but that's going to be a little harder here. Yeah, you can see if I had a database, I could take everything live. I could probably run this out in about 10 seconds instead of a minute, but I'm on a test plan right now. We're just going to let that go for about 5 more seconds. And yeah, there's really not a lot to say with this. You can kind of search the bibs, run a simulation on who's doing what. Once we've got our snapshots, I've got something really cool I wanted to make was the ability to basically instantly generate a map, something to view, to look at, to export to your actual Google Maps. And I don't know how well this will work on here. I hooked into the OpenStreetMap grid, which will import a lot of intersections and timing points for you. But I do have it set up to pull mile markers, to display them with a cute little icon for bike or run. You can kind of play with this styling a little bit and configure, it'll auto parse all this, but if you want to move your locations, your checkpoints, your mile markers, and have them update, you have the ability to drag that and customize this a bunch. And then of course you can export that back to timeline, which we'll look at in a second, CSVs or KML files. Yeah, and this was being a little slow, the intersection, so we're going to skip that and move on. It's a quirky little thing unless you're in a city. We talked about the comms log, keypads, trackers, the only other little two things. See, it looks like I found intersections there. Again, just being able to spit out quick a timeline. No, I mean those auto-generated checkpoints for my segment ends are automatically putting in my plan paces. When I simulate data or import it, it's automatically planning this. From here, I can make 50 checkpoints. I could make a whole list of every intersection. Basically, I may not be able to auto generate a spreadsheet, but I can get ahead of it. And you can see, yeah, a little quirky in our small town how it looks up lights and stop signs. It's the start of a traffic generation diagram, but you can already see that it's spitting out a huge number of the intersections on my course instantly just through this integration. And I wouldn't trust it. I got to export it to my timeline and go through it. But I did this for a half marathon where it would have taken me 8 hours and it took me like two to do this project just to build a freaking timeline. Not to mention, if your course changes, this will auto generate all of it. You can click a button, pop it over to your timeline, which is what we were just looking at. And then the last fun thing, because I'm already over my 10 minutes right now, is just the map. And this is super fun for simulations, but really the powerfulness of this is going to be on race day. Being able to, as data comes in, kind of get simulations, the track where people are. And again, keep in mind, this is just a 10-minute simulation right here generating this data. We can go ahead and plot with one race, with multiple races, where exactly our runners are going to be at each time. I could light this up with aid stations, with all sorts of diagrams, intersections, key points. When are they going to make the turnaround? When's there going to be two-way traffic? This is nothing crazy. RTRT does this. Some other people do this, and it's just a little sort of basic heat map diagram simulation from which I'm still playing with the styles a little bit, but you can configure just about anything that'll go on the map. You can, obviously you can go when you're looking in live mode, you can see real or extrapolated where the leader is, where the tail runner is, where cutoff what pace would be. Super cool. On that note, I want to get back to, just since I'm running out of time, I'm at my 12 minutes and I'm kind of cheating and going to advanced features. GPS tracking, be able to track where staff is, send emergency notifications that would flash in a little icon and make a noise on the top. One of the things that got me starting this, there is not a race that does cutoffs super gracefully, I would say, in this country. None of us do. There's no way to handle this most sensitive thing. And this takes a little more setup. One of the first things I built, the reason I built this was I wanted to be able to have each aid station be able to have not just a manual timing app, but where's the lead runner? Where's the tail runner? What time is their cutoff? And there's one thing that's not showing that if I configure this a little more, it would say in live update, if you're at this aid station, what pace you need to run to make the cutoff at the next aid station. And this all stems from, I worked at an Ironman a couple of years ago where I had a little spreadsheet built out for this, and I would go to an aid station doing exactly this and say, hey, you're almost in the cutoff, but you're slowing down. You got to run this pace. And I think this is super powerful because I did that when I got to the next aid station. Half the people were ready to drop, and the other half had picked it up and said thank you to me. And some of the people I picked up said thank you to me too. Just to give an example, I think there's a lot of cool little tricks already. And I think a lot of cool things we haven't even talked about, kind of basic analytics, a lot of stuff that overlaps with timing software, but isn't just in like one clean race director focused dashboard. And that was my goal with this. It wasn't to make timing software, although it kind of is. It wasn't to able to repeat, RTRT or reg software or what anybody does. It was just to be able to kind of look at all the problems that I've faced as a race director that I thought could be managed by